Well, hey everyone, I pray you're having a blessed week. When I put my thoughts together, I didn't have any information at the time concerning any future plans for memorials for our brother Ted and our dear brother Greg. But we'll let you know as soon as we know anything. But please keep these families in your prayers as they adjust their lives without someone that they loved so very much. Flo was blessed to have one of her daughters with her over the weekend. She flew home yesterday. She has their second daughter will be coming in from California, and that'll happen Wednesday. And she'll be here throughout the weekend. And Flo said they just shared so many great memories and laughs, and I know they'll do again this week the very same thing. And of course, they'll share a lot of tears together. But wow, this is great healing medicine. Now today would have been their 58th wedding anniversary. So keep Flo in your prayers. And then Ben and Diane are also in town this week. They're working to take care of the details for Greg. So please, once again, keep both of these families in your prayers. Providence of God. I don't know if there's any better evidence of God's providence than the story of Esther. It's a great story. It would make a great movie, but the best thing, it's true. As bizarre as it seems in places, it's real. And if you've never read Esther, you really need to do so. What a story. Now, the cafe class was in chapter 6 this past week, and it seems the king was having a hard time getting to sleep, so he asked that the Chronicles be read to him. And this is basically the daily kingdom records, if you will. And remember, this is the king. I mean, he had any choice in the world for entertainment, anything he wanted to do to make him sleepy. And he wants a book read to him that contains the records of the daily events. Wow. This is the providence of God, isn't it? Because the story that's read came from 5 years earlier. It just happened to contain the story where the Jew, Mordecai, had revealed a plot to assassinate the king, and it consequently saved the king's life. And out of all the things that could have been read, this is the choice. I mean, this is the providence of God. And it ends up being the catalyst that in a very short period of time, it's literally going to save the lives of the Jewish people. You see, the king had been convinced by his first in command, a man by the name of Haman, that the Jewish people in his kingdom they needed to be destroyed. And the king agreed, not knowing that one of his wives, Esther, and her cousin Mordecai were Jews. And the story is both tragic and funny as it all plays out. It's tragic when we think just how cruel humanity can be, but at the same time, we laugh at Haman, the bad guy, who gets what he deserves in the end, and he's humiliated at the same time. But it's also tragic in that there is so much evil in the human being, and tragic that we as believers sometimes are more interested, like in this case, in Haman or people like him getting what they deserve rather than being saddened as God is saddened when one of his creation is so cruel, so mean, so evil. It really hurts our Father because he truly is long suffering with us. And as it says in the New Testament, he desires that no one perish, but that all come to repentance. And you know what? Knowing this is a great responsibility. God is always bringing various influences to bear upon people's hearts as he seeks to turn them, from their evil ways basically. And God desires to use us in these circumstances and for us to be willing to be used. uh, if that's going to happen, we have to have the heart of God rather than a heart of this world. I mean, the world would will us to seek revenge and then be glad when it takes place. But to have God's heart, that's fighting for a soul until it can't be done anymore. And this could be seen as God working hard to bless those who so often do not want to be blessed, but he blesses them anyway. This is the God we serve. And he does so, I think, many times, even though he knows there'll be no positive recourse in the end. But the king, or this story of King Xerxes and Haman, it's as wild as any Hollywood movie you could ever go see. And the king allows Haman to pick the reward for this act. He reads about Mordecai saving his life, but only Haman, though, he thinks he's the one that's going to receive the reward. And we can only imagine how disgraced Haman is when he has to honor Mordecai in this most elaborate way that he described himself. But in the end, wow, we see the providence of our God. See, his nation was not going to be destroyed. Our God is sovereign. He is in control, and we many times we can't see this, but oh, may we always believe it, for it is the fundamental truth of life. And as his people, may we always know that it's best to be obedient, to be a part of God's plan rather than ever find ourselves working against it. The wisest thing we can do most any time is to slow down, sometimes just stop, to look, to listen, to pray, and then obey. It's always the best thing to do. And this can be very easy when life is easy, but this can be difficult when we don't seem to have the answers and we wonder if God cares. Well, I think the story of Esther reminds us that we can have confidence that God is there and God does care. Hey, thank you so much for tuning in this evening. Have a blessed rest of the week. Good evening.